Hi, it's Ileana. So today I am going to share information about the channeling book called The Ultimate Guide to Channeling Practical Techniques to Connect with Your Spirit Guides by Amy Sikarskie. This is one of the first books I had ever read when I was learning how to channel. It taught me proper techniques and protocols for safety, for protecting myself, and most of all, balancing my frequency to be at the best frequency that I can hold. Sometimes the frequency will be higher or lower when somebody is channeling the channel themselves. It also depends on the being that comes in. If it's of a positive frequency, then it will be a better channeling. If it's not of the highest frequency and positivity, then the channeling won't be of the highest frequency. This is what I learned from this book. How to hold your vibration at the highest frequency that you can of purity. Raising your vibration. It begins with having clarity, being clear, strengthening yourself, working on yourself to lift your energy to have a balanced frequency in the consciousness that you hold in your vibrational frequency when you're channeling. This is where I had my notes from when I was talking about what the frequency is of purity, what frequency you hold when you channel, to try to be at your purest ability to channel, to be in balance and in harmony, because the results of the channeling can depend on how clear you are as a channel. Like Amy states, be clear, strengthen yourself, lift your energy so your vibration and frequency vibrate at your highest consciousness. And it's your choice how well you're balanced when you're doing channeling. I usually won't channel when I'm feeling sick, or if I'm not feeling good, mood-wise, health-wise. I won't channel then, because I might not be attracting the most highest vibrational frequencies. This is what Amy talks about extensively in the responsibility and protocols of channeling. How to safeguard yourself when you're channeling. Always begin by holding the purest frequency that you can. Raise your vibration, meditate, rest, eat something that's healthy, listen to some music, take a walk outside, take a nap to reset yourself, meditate and clear your energy, because all of those things can affect the frequency of channeling. This is what I had been talking about. If you're feeling down, you want to try to lift yourself up to hold a high frequency. And if you don't feel well, the channeling can be done another day. And just be honest with yourself with the strength and quality of your channeling. It does depend on the quality of it. What is your vibration? What is the frequency you're holding when you channel? You want to be a clear channel to receive the most clearest positive messages in whatever being you're channeling, because you want to channel a positive being. Amy really outlines this quite clearly in these protocols and guiding steps. She also outlines various techniques for channeling, because there's trance channeling, there's mediumship channeling, there's intuitive channeling, and there's the channeling of where you are the questioner, the requester, and the channel where the being comes in that you're channeling. Sometimes it's the same person who is setting up the protocols for this, because there's only you asking the questions to the being. So you are having dual responsibilities when you are doing that kind of channeling. And that can affect the frequency of the channeling. when you're doing dual responsibilities. That's part of this too in this book, because there's different types of channeling. So she clearly explains what you can expect to experience when doing different types of channeling and how it works. So I found her information and specifics to be very clear and to be helpful in the advice that she gives and the examples she uses for describing channeling, the different techniques, protocols, safeguards for channeling. This would be the first book I would recommend if you want to learn how to channel, if you're thinking about wanting to experience channeling. It is something that I think we all have psychic ability to one degree or another, where there is potential for channeling, but it's a protocol, step-by-step experience where you learn it. Safety guidelines, what to expect, different types of channeling techniques. So this is all in Amy's book, and I found it quite helpful because it was clearly spelled out what to do and what not to do, and good advice. This is what helped me to learn channeling, honestly, because when you're starting to learn, you want guidelines, you want protocols and procedures, so you're able to stay on task and be organized and hold the highest frequency that you can. In focus, in being clear, in strengthening yourself, lifting your energy, because that is the frequency that you hold. So those were the inspirational notes I got from her book. And not be stuck in a stagnant energy out of your system. If for some reason you don't feel comfortable during the channeling process with the being, with yourself, with the requester for the channeling itself, you're allowed to stop it and say, that's it, this channeling is over. Because it's not holding the highest consciousness vibration or frequency anymore. And if you're able to hold that frequency and maintain it throughout the channeling, that's a great channeling experience. That's what Amy talks about as well. Staying upbeat with healing music, spending time in nature with animals, to be clear, to be grounded and balanced in your highest vibration and frequency when you're going to do channeling of any type. And the quality of the beings is also very important, of the highest, purest light and frequency, positive beings to be channeled. If somebody asks you to channel a being that is not appropriate and not of the highest good or frequency, don't do it. If you don't feel comfortable with doing something in channeling or psychic work, if it feels off or wrong to you, then don't do it. Amy discusses that quite clearly as well. It's a really good book, and I highly recommend it to start with. It teaches you how to hold a great frequency. Like, she gives you meditations, she gives you examples of what you can do to hold a high frequency and how to do it for the channeling. And again, I really like the wide variety of techniques she explains and gives good advice for what you can do with these techniques to apply it to channeling. For me, this book would be my number one choice to start with. And it's available in paperback. It's available, I think, in PDF, also as an audiobook. So I wanted to credit the source of where I got my inspirational notes to discuss about the frequency of channeling and the percentages of what you hold as a frequency, like ideas. Because some days you might be feeling more on point or feeling down, lower energy, higher energy vibration of the frequency you hold, your own individual unique frequency that you can hold for the channeling. Literally, it is the quality that you hold. So she talks about how quality could be impacted or affected based on how you're feeling. Higher vibration, lower vibration of the consciousness frequency that you hold during the channeling. She discusses that and how that affects the channeling process itself. And when you're channeling a being, that you're to be unbiased. You're not to be in the middle of it. It's the being also is responsible for holding the highest frequency during the channeling. It has to hold a high frequency itself. It's responsible for a high frequency, not just you, but the being too. You have to be a clear, non-biased channel. No biases. Otherwise, it's not going to work. She describes that in detail as well throughout the book. And it's emphasized several times. And I really like that. She talks from experience of what channeling is, how it works, and the various techniques. So I find this book very helpful, and I will refer back to it even now, because her examples were helpful to me, how to form my words, how to phrase my words. I was really inspired by her writing to describe this. I don't often describe frequency of channeling, what that is or how it even works. It begins with your own energy, having a high vibration, holding a high vibration during channeling, and the being who you're channeling also holding a high vibration and frequency for that quality of channeling. She describes it pretty well. So just formulating my own notes from the way she was describing this helped me to describe it correctly, because I just channel. I try my best to hold a high frequency and do it right to the best of my ability, because it's unique frequency we each hold. My frequency would be uniquely mine, yours would be uniquely yours, to the degree you're able to hold that frequency of the channeling in your consciousness. Same with the being you're channeling. Same goes for them. The quality of their frequency and how they're operating and working during the channeling session with honor and with a high frequency and degree of honesty from what is being channeled, the degree of quality of information. That is also talked about in this book, the quality of the information, if it's accurate, how well the channel is holding the frequency, what the being is channeling. Is it good? Not so good. What is the frequency being accessed for the channeling on both parts? The channeler and the being channeled, and also who the requester was. So those are all things I think Amy describes pretty well in this book. And it's a good teaching source. It was a great teaching source for me. I would say 15 years ago when I started learning channeling, and to this day, this book is highly relevant to me. And I wanted to give Amy Sikarskie credit for where I got the ideas to talk about the frequency and to describe how I channel in the beginning of my videos for channeling. Because I haven't really explained how it works. I channel Source Creator, the creator being that creates in the multiple universes within our multiverse. There could be many multiverses outside the multiverse. I channel specifically Source Creator, and I can channel other beings as well. Creators, creator beings, extraterrestrials. I prefer to channel Source Creator because I think that being is of the highest frequency and vibration that I feel comfortable channeling. This is just my comfort zone, my comfort level. Other people might be channeling different beings. Extraterrestrials, creators, experiencers, source creator. It's what you feel comfortable channeling, that you can hold a high vibration and frequency with, that best matches your ability to channel. That is what you start channeling, those types of beings. Amy talks about that here too. I really like how specific and down to detail she gets with this information. So I think this is a good book to start as a learning point, and I really wanted to explain myself better and cite the source and credit this lovely book, where I got my inspiration and some of the vocabulary to explain this in more detail, I think, because I think it needs some clarification where the information came from. And so it did need a better explanation, and where the information came from and what this resource is to explain frequency, to explain channeling, and how you hold the frequency, and what is the frequency of the channel, of the being channeled. That's important. So that explanation and that inspiration came from the book, The Ultimate Guide to Channeling, Practical Techniques to Connect with Your Spirit Guides. And it's more than just spirit guides. It could be source creator. That can actually be considered as a spirit guide. For some people, maybe it is. Angels, archangels, creator beings, extraterrestrials, even animals. You can channel animals and other beings. There's so many different beings, positive beings in the universes, in the multiverse, that can be channeled. So Amy explains that pretty well. And the book is, again, by Amy Sikarskie, founder of Spirit School. So I wanted to show also what the book looks like. So if you're interested in the book, it's available on Amazon and other book platforms, paperback, PDF, Audible book as well. Pretty good. So thank you so much, and I just wanted to give credit where credit is due for this wonderful book, and where I got my inspirational notes to talk about frequency and what frequency a channel can hold and the beings that can come in and how that works, describing the protocol and the technique a little bit. I would say even the style of channeling could be unique. I don't think I'm in deep trance channeling. I think I am in a space of protective healing and a space of awareness, what the being is, to make sure it's the proper being. And I can do deep trance channeling where you're so deep in it. But I work as the requester and the channel, doing dual roles for that. And it's the ability that I can hold to do that. And I think every person's frequency is unique to them, what frequency they hold and how they can do that. So it's pretty good for practical techniques. And it talks about channeling for mediumship, channeling for intuitive channeling. It talks about trance channeling. It talks about dual channeling, energy, frequency. This book is pretty good at those descriptions, I think, the accuracy of it. I like the accuracy of this book. It would still be my #1 guide to turn to for tips and tricks and protocols and techniques on channeling, various types of channeling. So thank you so much, and namaste.